Hear this with every fiber of your spirit. Something is shifting right now. Not tomorrow, not someday far away, but in this very moment, because God is not a distant observer of your life. God is actively preparing to release a dimension of supernatural wealth that will interrupt patterns, overturn limitations, and silence every voice that told you it could not happen. What you are about to experience will not be the result of luck, coincidence, or human manipulation. It will be the unmistakable movement of God stepping into your situation with authority and purpose, changing your story from lack to overflow, from survival to dominion, from waiting to manifestation. Many people misunderstand wealth because they see it only as numbers, currency, or possessions. But God has never been limited to material definitions. Supernatural wealth begins in the unseen before it ever touches the visible. God first enlarges your capacity to believe, to receive, to steward, and to command increase. If your spirit is small, your harvest will be small, regardless of opportunity. But when God expands your inner vision, your outer world must follow. This is why you feel a stirring you cannot explain, a restlessness that refuses to settle, a hunger that ordinary comfort cannot satisfy. That is not dissatisfaction, that is preparation. God never prepares provision without first preparing the person. You were not created to live at the mercy of circumstances. God did not design you to be crushed by systems, defeated by cycles, or restricted by what others failed to achieve. There is a divine intention written into your existence, and that intention includes abundance, not for arrogance, not for selfish display, but for impact, influence, and authority. When God releases supernatural wealth, it is never random. It is targeted. It is purposeful. It is connected to assignment. You are stepping into a season where God trusts you with more because you are ready to carry more. For too long, you have been told to be realistic, to lower expectations, to accept less than what your spirit knows is possible. But realism without God is just another form of limitation. Faith is not denial of reality, it is alignment with a higher reality. God does not ask you to pretend circumstances do not exist. God asks you to believe that circumstances do not have the final word. When God speaks increase over your life, no economy, no background, no past mistake has the authority to cancel it. There are moments when God allows pressure not to destroy you, but to refine you. The resistance you faced was not proof that you were off track. It was confirmation that you were being trained for expansion. Wealth without character destroys, but wealth released by God rests on discipline, humility, and obedience. You have learned patience, you have learned endurance, you have learned how to stand when nothing moves. Now God is about to reward consistency with acceleration. Supernatural wealth does not always arrive in the way the mind expects. Sometimes it comes as an idea that will not leave you. Sometimes it arrives as a connection that seems ordinary at first, but later reveals divine timing. Sometimes it comes through favor that opens doors you did not knock on. God is not limited to one channel. When God decides to bless, God activates multiple streams simultaneously. What you thought would take decades will compress into moments because divine timing does not obey human calendars. You must understand this clearly. God is not releasing wealth to test you. God is releasing wealth because you have already been tested. The nights you cried alone, the seasons you stayed faithful when nothing was happening, the times you chose integrity over shortcuts, none of it was wasted. God records obedience. God remembers sacrifice. God honors alignment. The harvest you are about to step into is cumulative. It carries the weight of every unseen act of faith you thought went unnoticed. Your environment may not reflect what God has spoken yet, but do not confuse delay with denial. Seeds do not sprout the moment they are planted. They break open in the dark before they emerge into the light. There are breakthroughs happening beneath the surface of your life that you cannot yet see, but they are real. God works silently before God works suddenly. When the shift happens, People will call it overnight success. But you will know it was years of preparation meeting divine release. Supernatural wealth also requires supernatural thinking. You cannot receive divine increase while clinging to scarcity thinking. Scarcity says there is never enough. Faith says God is more than enough. Scarcity says protect and hoard. Faith says trust and steward. When God sees that you understand wealth as a tool rather than an identity, as a responsibility rather than a trophy, God releases it freely. God does not fear abundance in the hands of the faithful. There are people listening to this who have struggled with guilt around wanting more, as if desire itself were wrong. But desire planted by God is not greed, it is invitation. God places vision inside you because God intends to fulfill it. You were never meant to apologize for believing big. You were never meant to shrink your dreams to make others comfortable. God is calling you out of small expectations into bold alignment. Do not be distracted by comparison. Someone else's harvest is not your measurement. God has a unique blueprint for your life, and your increase will come in a way that fits your calling. Comparison steals gratitude, and gratitude is a key to multiplication. When you honor what God is doing now, you prepare yourself for what God will do next. Every level of blessing demands a higher level of awareness. You must guard your inner conversation. Words spoken repeatedly become beliefs, and beliefs shape outcomes. If you constantly speak limitation, you reinforce it. If you speak possibility rooted in God, you activate expectation. God responds to faith that is expressed, not hidden. Speak life over your finances. Speak wisdom over your decisions. Speak alignment over your future. You are not begging God to move. You are agreeing with what God has already decided to release. There will be moments when fear tries to surface, especially when increase begins to show up. Fear says you are not ready, that you will lose it, that you do not deserve it. But fear is not a warning from God. It is a residue of past lack. God does not give gifts with anxiety attached. Peace is confirmation. When God releases wealth, it comes with clarity, confidence, and direction. Trust that what God gives, God also sustains. You are entering a season where discipline matters more than desire. Supernatural wealth requires supernatural order. God is not impressed by chaos. Align your habits with your vision. Align your actions with your prayers. You cannot ask for overflow and live in disorder. Preparation honors God. When you manage what you have well, you prove readiness for more. God multiplies what is stewarded, not what is neglected. Some of the greatest shifts in your life will come through obedience that does not make sense to others. God may instruct you to move, to invest, to release, or to wait when logic says do the opposite. This is where trust becomes real. Obedience positions you in the path of blessing. Delayed obedience delays manifestation. When you move with God, timing becomes your advantage. Supernatural wealth is not about escaping responsibility. It is about embracing influence. God raises people with resources so they can reshape environments, create opportunities, and restore dignity. Wealth in the hands of the faithful becomes a force for transformation. This is why your character has been shaped so intentionally. God is not just increasing your capacity to receive, God is increasing your capacity to impact. There are doors about to open that no amount of effort could force. Favor will replace striving. Ease will replace exhaustion. This does not mean you will stop working. It means your work will begin to produce differently. When God breathes on effort, results accelerate. What once felt heavy will begin to flow. What once resisted will begin to cooperate. This is the signature of divine involvement. Stay alert. Seasons change quietly. Do not miss your moment because you are looking for drama instead of direction. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs arrive disguised as responsibility. When opportunity comes, respond with humility and courage. You do not need to know every step. You only need to take the next one with trust. God reveals direction progressively to keep you dependent, not overwhelmed. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not disqualified. The timeline of God does not operate on human comparison. Everything you walk through refines you for what is coming. Your past does not disqualify you, it qualifies you. God specializes in turning pressure into power, delay into distinction, and struggle into strength. As wealth increases, so must wisdom. Ask God daily for clarity, restraint, and insight. Not every opportunity is aligned. Discernment protects increase. Just because you can does not mean you should. God will guide you into decisions that preserve and multiply what is released. Stay teachable, stay grounded. Pride leaks wealth, humility preserves it. There is a confidence rising in you now, not arrogance but certainty. Certainty that God is faithful. Certainty that your life has direction. Certainty that what you have believed in secret is about to be seen openly. This confidence is not based on emotion, it is based on alignment. When you are aligned with God, you can stand calmly even when everything shifts. The wealth God releases will not just change your bank account, it will change your posture. You will walk differently, decide differently, give differently. You will no longer chase validation because you will be anchored in purpose. Security does not come from possession, it comes from trust in the source. When God is your source, resources never define you. Expect moments of surprise. God delights in exceeding expectation. What you planned for may arrive bigger. What you hoped for may arrive faster. Remain flexible. Gratitude keeps you open. When you celebrate each step, you stay positioned for the next. Do not downplay blessing to appear humble. Honor what God does openly. This is not a season to retreat, it is a season to advance with wisdom. Take bold steps grounded in faith. Release all narratives that no longer fit who you are becoming. You are not the person you used to be. God has elevated your perspective, sharpened your discernment, and strengthened your resolve. Walk in that awareness. You may still face challenges, but they will not carry the same weight. You have grown. You see differently now. You respond differently now. God has trained your hands for stewardship and your mind for strategy. Trust the process that shaped you. Trust the God who guided you through it. What is about to unfold will confirm what your spirit already knows. God is active. God is intentional. God is generous. This release of supernatural wealth is not an accident. It is alignment meeting readiness. Stay present. Stay faithful. Stay responsive. The flow has already begun. Lift your expectation higher, because God never releases increase to those who are merely curious. God responds to those who are convinced. Conviction is the language of heaven. When your heart eye is settled, when your faith is no longer negotiating with fear, you become a stable vessel for extraordinary provision. God looks for people who are anchored, not shaken by every report, not swayed by temporary setbacks. Stability attracts responsibility, and responsibility attracts trust. When God trusts you, doors open that explanation cannot justify. There is a dimension of wealth that does not respond to effort alone. You have already proven that you can work, strive, and persist. Now God is shifting you into a realm where insight produces more than labor, where wisdom outweighs exhaustion, where one decision can outperform years of struggle. This is not a call to passivity, it is a call to precision. God sharpens your perception so you can recognize the right moment, the right alignment, the right move. Timing is wealth in itself, And God is refining your sense of timing. Understand this deeply. God is not threatened by your expansion. Some people fear outgrowing their past because familiarity feels safe, even when it is limiting. But God is always calling forward, forward in vision, forward in capacity, forward in influence. You cannot step into new provision while clinging to old identities. Who you were in survival mode cannot fully steward what God is releasing now. Let the former version of you rest. Growth is not betrayal, it is obedience. There is also a purification happening alongside the increase. God removes distractions that once consumed your attention because clarity must accompany wealth. Confusion drains resources. When your priorities are scattered, abundance leaks. God simplifies your focus so your energy flows in the right direction. What once led you in 10 directions will lose its grip. This is not loss, it is refinement. What remains will be aligned, productive, and purposeful. Pay attention to the quiet instructions. God does not always announce breakthroughs with noise. Often, the most powerful guidance arrives as a gentle inner certainty, a persistent nudge that refuses to leave. Honor that guidance. It is wealth in seed form. When you ignore small instructions, you delay large outcomes. Faithfulness in the subtle prepares you for the spectacular. There are systems God is teaching you to see beyond. When you rely solely on structures built by people, your increase remains fragile. But when God becomes the foundation of your strategy, your provision becomes resilient. God operates above cycles, trends, and predictions. This does not mean you ignore wisdom or planning. It means you root them in trust. When God is the source, no external shift can cut the supply. You're also learning the difference between speed and momentum. Speed rushes and burns out. Momentum builds and sustains. God is giving you momentum. What you push now will keep moving with less effort later. This is why patience is still required even in a season of acceleration. Let things mature. Let processes complete. Premature harvesting weakens long-term abundance. Wealth released by God carries responsibility to think generationally. Short-term gratification is easy. Long-term impact requires vision. God invites you to see beyond immediate comfort into lasting influence. How you handle increase today shapes what becomes possible tomorrow. Every wise decision compounds. Every disciplined choice multiplies. You are not just building for yourself. You are shaping an atmosphere that others will step into. Your mindset around giving will also expand. Not giving from pressure, not giving to be seen, but giving from alignment. When generosity flows naturally, it signals trust in God rather than attachment to possession. God does not demand release, God responds to willingness. An open hand stays full because it is always ready to receive. Tight control suffocates flow. Be mindful of the voices you allow near your vision. Not everyone can handle your expansion. Some will misunderstand it. Some will question it. Some will feel threatened by it. This does not make them evil, it makes them unprepared. Protect what God is growing. Silence is sometimes stewardship. Not every plan needs an audience. You are also being trained to navigate success with the same integrity you showed in struggle. Many fail not because they could not endure lack, but because they could not manage abundance. God strengthens your inner compass so you remain guided by purpose rather than applause. When your identity stays rooted, success cannot corrupt you. Wealth becomes a tool, not a trap. Notice how your tolerance for chaos is decreasing. What you once ignored now feels heavy. This is growth. God raises your standard because excellence preserves increase. Disorder costs more than you realize. Peace is not a luxury, it is a strategy. A clear environment supports clear decisions. God is aligning your external world with your internal clarity. There is also a boldness emerging in your speech. You are no longer shrinking your language to match all limitations. You speak with confidence, not arrogance, because truth carries authority. Whoa! RDS shape reality. When your words align with faith, they create direction. Speak deliberately. Declare wisely. Silence doubt by refusing to give it vocabulary. Some opportunities will require you to trust provision before you see proof. This is where faith matures. God may call you to step forward while evidence is still forming. Obedience creates evidence. Movement activates supply. When you move in alignment, resources meet you on the path. Standing still out of fear costs more than stepping forward with trust. You are also learning discernment around rest. Rest is not withdrawal, it is recalibration. God restores perspective in stillness. Exhaustion distorts judgment. When you honor rest, you honor sustainability. Wealth that drains your health is not blessing, it is imbalance. God desires wholeness. Strength, multiplied by clarity, produces lasting success. Expect resistance to diminish, not because challenges disappear, but because your authority increases. What once intimidated you will no longer command your attention. You have learned to respond instead of react. Emotional discipline protects financial clarity. When pressure rises, you stay grounded. This stability signals readiness for greater responsibility. Your gratitude is deepening, not performative, but anchored. Gratitude sharpens awareness. You recognize progress where others overlook it. This awareness fuels joy, and joy sustains momentum. God honors hearts that recognize growth even before the destination is reached. Celebrate progress without losing hunger. There will be moments when God asks you to release something that seems valuable to make room for something greater. Trust the exchange. God never subtracts without intention. Letting go creates capacity. Capacity invites overflow. Do not cling to what has served its season when a new level is calling. Your relationship with time is also shifting. You are less rushed, less anxious. You understand that urgency without clarity leads to mistakes. God teaches you to move decisively without panic. Calm action outperforms frantic effort. This composure is part of your wealth. It cannot be purchased, it is cultivated. You may notice that solutions now come faster. Challenges resolve with less friction. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. When your inner world aligns with God's direction, your outer world responds. Resistance decreases because you are no longer fighting what you were meant to follow. As increase manifests, stay curious, not complacent. Growth continues. God does not reveal everything at once. Each level prepares you for the next. Remain teachable. Wisdom compounds faster than money. Insight protects what effort builds. What is unfolding is bigger than accumulation. It is transformation. You are becoming someone who can carry weight without collapsing, influence without losing humility, provision without fear. This is the true miracle, not just what enters your hands, but what strengthens your spirit. Stay awake to the moment. Do not live ahead of it or behind it. Presence sharpens discernment. God moves in now. When you respond now, momentum stays alive. Delay dulls sensitivity. Trust the unfolding. Trust the preparation. Trust the God who has guided you through obscurity into clarity, through pressure into poise, through scarcity into sufficiency, and now into overflow that carries purpose, order, wisdom, and peace, because what is being released is not random, not fragile, not temporary, but established, intentional, and already moving toward you, even as you listen, even as you breathe, even as your awareness expands to meet the reality that God is active, faithful, generous, and fully engaged in bringing into your life what has been prepared long before you saw the evidence, long before you felt ready, long before you understood how every step was aligning for this very moment where expectation becomes alignment and alignment becomes manifestation. Now is the moment to pause and look inward with honesty and courage. Examine what you have tolerated that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Examine the habits that drain your strength, the thoughts that shrink your vision, the fears that keep you circling familiar ground. This is not a moment for shame, it is a moment for alignment. God does not expose weakness to condemn, but to heal, to strengthen, to reposition. When you bring your whole life into the light of awareness before God, renewal begins immediately. Choose today to realign your steps with intention. Let purpose guide your decisions rather than impulse. Let conviction outweigh comfort. Draw nearer to God not out of obligation but out of desire, because closeness clarifies direction. When you walk closely with God, confusion loses its power and fear loses its voice. Your life becomes less reactive and more deliberate, less scattered and more focused. This is how authority is formed from the inside out. Release what no longer serves the calling placed within you. Lay down resentment, comparison, and self-doubt. They are too heavy to carry into the season unfolding before you. God is inviting you into a deeper trust, one that does not demand constant reassurance but rests in certainty. When you trust God fully, your steps become steady even when the path is unfamiliar. Courage grows where trust is practiced. Commit to living awake, aware, and aligned. Speak with integrity, act with wisdom, move with humility and confidence intertwined. Let your life become a reflection of gratitude rather than anxiety, of purpose rather than pressure. God responds to hearts that are surrendered, yet strong, open yet disciplined, faithful yet bold. Carry this awareness with you. You are not alone, not forgotten, not overlooked. God is present, active, and intentional in every detail of your life. Walk forward with renewed purpose. Let your faith be visible in how you choose, how you give, how you stand, and how you trust. Allow your life to become a testimony of alignment where peace leads, purpose anchors, and the presence of God shapes every step you take.